The door slammed so hard the windows rattled. Emma Mitchell stood in the hallway of the only home she had ever known, holding nothing but a backpack and the weight of something she hadn't even done. Her stepmother, Linda, stood at the top of the stairs, arms crossed, watching with cold satisfaction. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. She had already won. Emma was 16 years old. It was February. And outside, it was 32 degrees. Emma Mitchell had grown up in Dayton, Ohio, in a modest two-story house on Birchwood Lane. She was the kind of girl that teachers remembered. Quiet in the best possible way. Thoughtful. The type who stayed after class to erase the board without being asked. She had her mother's eyes, her mother's laugh, and her mother's stubborn belief that things would always work out if you just kept going. But her mother, Carol, had passed away from cancer when Emma was just 9 years old. And for 2 years after that, it was just Emma and her father, Richard Mitchell, a middle school history teacher who coached Little League on weekends and made terrible pancakes every Sunday morning. Those 2 years were hard, but they were real. They were honest. Then Richard met Linda. Linda Pierce was polished in the way that certain people are polished, all surface, no warmth. She wore the right clothes, said the right things at dinner parties, and smiled at Emma in a way that never quite reached her eyes. Emma tried. She genuinely tried. She set the table without being asked. She stayed out of the way. She brought home straight A's, hoping that maybe, just maybe, that would be enough to make Linda look at her like she mattered. It was never enough. Richard married Linda 2 years after Carol died. Emma was 11. By the time Emma turned 13, Linda had 2 children of her own from a previous relationship, Tyler, who was 9, and Brooke, who was 7. The house that had once belonged to Emma and her father slowly became Linda's house. Carol's photos came off the walls. Emma's artwork disappeared from the refrigerator. Emma's bedroom was moved from the big room at the end of the hall to the small one near the garage. Emma told herself it was fine. She told herself she was overreacting. But deep down, in that quiet place where truth lives, she knew what was happening. She just didn't have the words for it yet. By the time Emma was 15, the house had rules that only seemed to apply to her. Tyler broke a window playing baseball in the backyard. Linda laughed and called him a wild one. Emma accidentally left a dish in the sink overnight, and Linda sat Richard down for a 20-minute conversation about responsibility. Brooke could stay up until midnight on school nights watching TV. Emma had a 9 o'clock bedtime that was enforced like a military regulation. Tyler and Brooke got new school clothes every fall. Emma wore the same jeans 3 years in a row until the knees wore through. Richard saw none of it. Or maybe he saw all of it and chose not to look too closely. He was the kind of man who loved peace more than he loved truth. And Linda knew exactly how to use that. Emma found her escape in 2 places: the school library and her best friend, Jasmine Carter. Jasmine was loud where Emma was quiet, bold where Emma was careful, and she had this way of making Emma feel like the most important person in the room just by calling her name. Every Friday after school, Emma would go to Jasmine's house for dinner. Jasmine's mom, Patricia Carter, always made a full meal: collard greens, cornbread, macaroni and cheese, and sweet tea so cold it made your teeth ache. "Emma, baby, you eat like you haven't seen food all week," Patricia would say, piling more on her plate. Emma always laughed it off. But Patricia noticed. Patricia was a woman who noticed everything. The winter Emma turned 16 was the winter everything fell apart. It started with a missing necklace. A thin gold chain with a small heart pendant that had belonged to Linda's mother. Linda kept it in a jewelry box on her dresser. One Tuesday afternoon, Linda came home to find it missing. Emma was the only one home. Linda didn't ask. She declared. Emma took it. Richard came home from work to find Linda waiting at the door with her arms crossed and her mind already made up. There was no investigation. No conversation. No "let me hear your side of things." Just a verdict handed down in the kitchen while Emma stood there with her hands shaking, trying to explain that she had never even been in their bedroom. I didn't take it, Dad. I would never. Then where is it? Linda demanded. I don't know. I didn't touch it. You were the only one here, Emma. Tyler and Brooke were here until 4 o'clock. I didn't even get home until 4:30. Ask the neighbors. Ask anyone. Richard rubbed his forehead. He looked tired. He always looked tired now. Linda, maybe we should just. No, Linda said firmly. I have put up with this for 5 years, Richard. 5 years. And I am done. That was the moment. Right there in the kitchen, under the fluorescent light that always flickered on the left side. Emma watched her father's face and understood, maybe for the first time in her life, what it meant to be truly alone in a room full of people. Richard turned to Emma. And he said the worst thing a father can ever say to his child. I think you need to leave, Emma. Just for a while. Until things cool down. Emma didn't cry right away. She was too shocked for tears. She walked upstairs. She packed a backpack, 3 changes of clothes, her journal, her mother's old scarf that she kept folded at the bottom of her dresser drawer, and $47 she had saved from babysitting. She walked back downstairs. She looked at her father one more time. He was already turned away, talking to Linda in a low voice. Emma walked out the front door. And it closed behind her like a period at the end of a sentence. It was Jasmine who found her. Emma had walked 6 blocks before her legs stopped working and she sat down on the curb outside a 7-Eleven, staring at the parking lot lights without really seeing them. She had called Jasmine from a payphone. Her phone had died and Jasmine had shown up in 12 minutes flat in her older brother Marcus's car, still wearing her pajamas. Oh no. Oh no, Emma, what happened? Emma couldn't speak. She just held up her backpack. Jasmine understood everything in that moment. She put her arm around Emma and said, "You're coming home with me. And don't argue because I will physically put you in this car." Emma almost smiled. Almost. Patricia Carter opened the door at 10:30 at night in her bathrobe and reading glasses, took one look at Emma's face, and pulled her inside without a single question. She made hot chocolate. She let Emma sit at the kitchen table for a long time without making her talk. And when Emma finally broke down, really broke down, the kind of crying that sounds like something tearing, Patricia just held her and rocked her and said, "Baby, you are safe. You hear me? You are safe right here." Patricia called Child Protective Services the next morning. She also called a lawyer friend of hers, a woman named Beverly Thompson who worked in family law. Beverly drove over that same afternoon, sat across from Emma at the kitchen table, and listened to everything. Then she folded her hands and said, "Emma, what your father did is considered child abandonment under Ohio law. You have rights. And I'm going to help you understand them." Richard called twice in the first 3 days. Both times, Emma sat in the hallway listening to Patricia answer the phone in that quiet, firm voice she used when she meant business. She is safe. She is cared for. And if you want to have a conversation about what happens next, you will have it through proper channels. Emma heard her father's voice through the phone, distant and muffled. She couldn't make out the words. She told herself she didn't want to. It was the 3rd night at the Carter's house that Emma found something she hadn't felt in a very long time. She was lying in the guest room, which Patricia had already filled with extra blankets and a nightlight shaped like a moon, when she heard Patricia and Jasmine talking quietly in the hallway. "Is she going to be okay, Mom?" "Yes, baby. She's going to be more than okay." "How do you know?" A pause. "Because she's still here." That girl walked out of that house with $47 and a backpack, and she sat on a curb and waited for help instead of disappearing. That's not a girl who gives up. That's a girl who fights. Emma pressed her face into the pillow and cried again. But this time it felt different. This time it felt like something beginning instead of something ending. Patricia Carter became Emma's foster guardian 6 weeks later. Beverly Thompson handled the paperwork. Richard Mitchell did not contest it. Linda, from what anyone heard, was relieved. Emma finished 10th grade at Jefferson High School with straight A's. She got a part-time job at a bakery 3 blocks from the Carter's house Saturday and Sunday mornings, 6 to noon, run by a man named George Kowalski, who was 70 years old, Polish-American, and absolutely refused to let anyone leave his shop without eating something. "You're too skinny," he told Emma the first morning she showed up. "I'm fine," Emma said. He put a cinnamon roll on the counter. "Eat it." She ate it. It was the best thing she had ever tasted. George became something unexpected: a mentor, a grandfather figure, a man who taught her that flour and butter and patience could make something beautiful out of almost nothing. Emma started baking at home. Patricia's kitchen began smelling like vanilla and brown sugar every Sunday evening. Jasmine complained every single week that she was going to gain 20 pounds, and every single week she ate 2 more cookies. Emma saved every dollar she made at the bakery. She opened her own savings account at the credit union on 5th Street. She wrote down every dollar that went in and every dollar that went out in a small notebook she kept in her jacket pocket. By the time she was 17, she had saved $3,200. She also started working with Beverly Thompson's office on weekends unpaid, just answering phones and filing paperwork and sitting in on consultations when Beverly allowed it. Emma wasn't sure yet what she wanted to do with her life. But she knew she wanted to help people who were exactly where she had been: scared, alone, and told that they didn't have options. Because she knew now, with bone-deep certainty, that options always exist. Sometimes you just need someone to show them to you. Junior year, Emma was nominated for a county-wide scholarship called the Ohio Future Leaders Award. It was given annually to 3 students in the greater Dayton area who demonstrated academic excellence, community service, and personal resilience. Beverly Thompson submitted the nomination. Emma wrote the essay herself. She wrote about Birchwood Lane. She wrote about the backpack and the $47 and the 7-Eleven parking lot. She wrote about Patricia Carter's kitchen and George Kowalski's cinnamon rolls. She wrote about what it means to be thrown away by the people who were supposed to love you, and what it means to be picked up by the people who had absolutely no obligation to. She wrote, "I used to think that family meant the people you were born to. I don't believe that anymore. Family is the people who open the door at 10:30 at night when you have nowhere to go and don't ask a single question. Family is the people who look at the worst moment of your life and say, this is not the end of your story." Emma won the scholarship. All $3,000 of it. She was 17 years old, standing in a reception hall downtown in a dress Patricia had helped her pick out, holding a check and a plaque, and for the first time in as long as she could remember, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Senior year moved fast. Emma applied to 7 colleges. She got into 5. She chose Ohio State University on a combination of the Future Leaders Scholarship, financial aid, and a work-study placement in the university's pre-law program. Beverly Thompson wrote her recommendation letter. George Kowalski drove to the post office himself to mail it, even though Emma had already submitted everything online. "Humor an old man," he said. Graduation day was the last Friday in May. Patricia sat in the 3rd row with Jasmine and Marcus and a handmade sign that said "Go Emma" in purple and gold glitter. Emma walked across the stage at Jefferson High School and received her diploma to the loudest applause in her section, most of which was coming from Patricia Carter, who was not a quiet woman when she felt proud. After the ceremony, standing in the parking lot in the late afternoon sun, Emma felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned around. It was her father. Richard Mitchell looked older. His hair had more gray in it. He was wearing a button-down shirt that looked like he had ironed it carefully, which was something he used to only do for important occasions. He was holding a small envelope. Emma didn't speak. She waited. "I came because I wanted to see you graduate," he said. His voice was careful. Practiced. Like he had said this sentence many times in the car on the way over. "And because I owe you something I should have said a long time ago." Emma looked at him. She didn't feel the rush of anger she had expected. She didn't feel the old grief either. She felt something quieter. something that had been sitting still for a long time. "I was wrong," Richard said. "What I did to you was wrong. I chose the easy thing instead of the right thing, and I lost you because of it. And I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed you to know that I know." Emma was quiet for a long moment. "I know you know, Dad," she finally said. "I've known for a while." Richard nodded. His eyes were wet. He held out the envelope. Inside was a card and a check for $500. Emma looked at it for a moment, then looked at her father. "Keep the money," she said. "I don't need it." Richard nodded again, slowly. He looked like a man who understood that he was receiving exactly what he deserved, not cruelty, not warmth, just the quiet, honest truth. "Can I call sometime?" he asked. Emma thought about it. "Maybe. Someday. But not yet." He nodded. He walked away. Emma watched him go, then turned back to find Patricia standing 3 feet behind her, silent, ready, the way she always was. "You okay?" Patricia asked. "Yeah," Emma said. And she meant it completely. "I really am." For years later, Emma Mitchell graduated from Ohio State University with a degree in social work and a minor in legal studies. She finished in the top 8% of her class. Beverly Thompson sat beside Patricia Carter at the graduation ceremony, and both women cried, which neither of them would have admitted if asked directly. George Kowalski passed away the summer before Emma's senior year of college, peacefully, at 74, in the apartment above his bakery. He left Emma a handwritten note in an envelope with her name on it that his daughter found in his desk. It said, "You were the best thing that walked through that door in 40 years. The cinnamon rolls were always yours. George." Emma framed the note and hung it above her desk. After graduation, Emma joined Beverly Thompson's law office as a junior associate while completing her licensing requirements. Within her first year, she had worked on 23 cases involving minors in foster care and family displacement. She co-wrote a proposal for a Dayton City initiative called the Open Door Project, a rapid response program that connected displaced youth with emergency housing, legal aid, and counseling within 48 hours of a reported incident. The City Council approved it unanimously. The local news covered it. A reporter from the Dayton Daily News came to interview Emma in Beverly's office. She was 23 years old, sitting across from a journalist with a recorder on the table between them, and the reporter asked her what inspired the project. Emma smiled. "A 7-Eleven parking lot," she said. "And a woman who opened her door at 10:30 at night." The reporter also asked if she had any message for young people who were going through what she had gone through, kids who had been pushed out, cast aside, told they didn't matter by the very people who were supposed to protect them. Emma leaned forward. "You are not what happened to you," she said. "You are not the door that closed. You are not the backpack and the $47. You are not the cold and the parking lot and the silence from the person who should have chosen you." She paused. "You are what you do next. You are the person who sits on the curb and still calls for help. You are the cinnamon roll and the hot chocolate and the essay you write at 2 in the morning and the scholarship and the diploma and every single ordinary Tuesday where you just kept going. Don't let anyone's worst moment become your permanent address." The article ran on a Sunday morning in March. By Monday afternoon, it had been shared 47,000 times across Facebook and Instagram. Messages came in from across Ohio, from Kentucky, Indiana, Michigan. From a 16-year-old girl in Columbus who said she had read it 4 times and felt, for the first time in months, like maybe things could be different. From a foster mother in Cincinnati who printed it out and taped it to her refrigerator. From a retired teacher in Cleveland who said it reminded him why he had spent 30 years in a classroom. And from an address in Dayton, Ohio, Birchwood Lane, a short email that came to Beverly's office and was forwarded to Emma without comment. It was from Linda Mitchell. It said only this: "I found the necklace. It had fallen behind the radiator. I should have looked harder. I'm sorry." Emma read it once. She set her phone face down on her desk. She sat there for a long moment looking out the window at the March sky, grey and wide and slowly beginning to change. Then she picked up her phone and started her next case file. Because there was always more work to do. And Emma Mitchell had never been the kind of person who stopped moving. Some people are thrown away and stay broken. Emma Mitchell was thrown out of her home at 16 with $47 and a backpack into a February night in Ohio by the person who was supposed to protect her above all others. But somewhere between that parking lot and that podium, between George's cinnamon rolls and Patricia's kitchen table, between Beverly's office and the city council chambers, Emma had learned the most important thing that no one in that house on Birchwood Lane had ever managed to teach her. She was not a burden. She was not a problem. She was not the thing that needed to be removed so that someone else could be comfortable. She was the open door. She was the warm light at 10:30 at night. She was the answer to the call that comes in from a scared kid with a dead phone and nowhere to go. She was exactly who she was always supposed to become. It just took the wrong people letting go for the right people to hold on. If this story moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear that it gets better. Subscribe to Unfold Family Stories for more real, emotional stories about the strength of the human spirit. And drop a comment below. Tell us, who was your Patricia Carter? Who opened the door for you when you had nowhere else to go?